I was 15 years old when I watched my father fall from a mountain. The year was 1976. Rhodesia was burning. But that morning, 6 men walked into the wilderness with one desperate mission: find food or watch their families starve. By sunset, only one of them would still be breathing. This is the true story of the last hunt on Turanyi Mountain. The day hunger led us into the hands of armed soldiers, and the day I had to choose between saving myself or dying with my father. If you want to hear stories of true survival, real courage, and the choices that haunt us forever, hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to hear, you won't forget. It was early morning when we left the village. My father, four of his closest friends, myself, just a boy of 15, and our 15 hunting dogs. The war had taken everything from us. Food was scarce, the markets were empty, our bellies were hollow, so we made a choice that many wouldn't dare. We would go hunting, even though armed patrols roamed the bush, even though every shadow could hide danger. We headed west toward the Rhodesia River, our dogs leading the way. For 3 long hours we walked through thick bush under the unforgiving sun. Our dogs barked and chased, but only baboons, nothing we could eat, nothing we could bring home. By midday our stomachs were screaming. All we had was water and mahu, a thin, fermented drink that did little to silence the hunger. Then, finally, hope. A kudu appeared on the mountainside, majestic, fast. Our dogs gave chase. For another hour and a half we followed, climbing rocks, tearing through thorns. But the kudu was faster, and we were too weak. We gave up. Defeated, we turned back toward home. That's when the bush came alive again. Our dogs had found a wild pig. We thought our luck had finally changed. But this pig was no ordinary animal. It was huge, scarred, and vicious. It fought back with a fury I'd never seen. The bush was thick with thorn trees, the kind that ripped through clothing and skin like knives. In the chaos, 3 of our dogs were lost, torn apart in the thicket. I looked at my father, my heart pounding. "Dad, please, let's go home. Something is wrong today." He nodded. We gathered the remaining dogs and started back. We had been walking for about an hour when the sun began to sink lower in the sky. It was around 4 in the afternoon. The air was thick, heavy. Then one of our dogs bolted up the mountain, barking wildly. We followed, hearts racing, thinking maybe, just maybe, this was the kudu we'd been chasing all day. It wasn't. It was a rabbit, a tiny rabbit, cowering in a small cave. 8 men, one rabbit. We made a fire right there and cooked it. We split the meat into pitiful portions. It wasn't enough, but it was something. As I ate, something strange began to happen. My heart started racing, not from exhaustion, but from something deeper. My left eye began twitching uncontrollably. I had felt fear before, but this was different. This was my body screaming at me, "Get out, now!" But we didn't listen. After we finished eating, we started heading home again. Just 30 minutes into our walk, we spotted fresh antelope tracks in the dirt. Hunger overruled instinct. We followed the tracks up into the mountain, all of us staring at the ground, too tired to think clearly. The dogs walked quietly behind us now, exhausted and subdued. We rounded a massive boulder, and the world stopped. 10 armed soldiers stood in front of us. Their weapons were raised, pointed directly at our chests. All 8 of us dropped to our knees, hands up, hearts hammering. They called themselves comrades, freedom fighters. But to them, we were something else: informers, sellouts, traitors. They began shouting accusations. One of my father's friends was dragged forward and beaten, hard. The sound of fists hitting flesh echoed through the mountain. Then one of the soldiers turned to me. His eyes were cold, empty. "You," he said, pointing, "run home. Tell your village that we are going to throw these sellouts off Turanyi Mountain." I looked at my father. He didn't say a word, but his eyes told me everything. Run, live. So I ran. I didn't look back, not at first. I ran until my lungs were burning, until my legs felt like they would collapse beneath me. I ran until I was far enough away that I thought maybe, just maybe, they wouldn't chase me. Then I stopped. I turned around. and I saw them. Turanyi Mountain is known throughout Mwanisi, Masvingo, for one thing. The cliff. A long, steep rock face so smooth and slippery that anything thrown from the top shatters into pieces at the bottom. I stood there, frozen, as I watched the soldiers lead my father and the others to the top. One by one, they threw them over the edge. The screams. I can still hear them. The rock face wasn't a straight drop. It was a long, brutal slide. And at the bottom was a small pit, a crevice where the bodies piled up, broken and twisted. My father was the last. As they pushed him, he reached out, grabbed a clump of mountain grass. He held on, barely. His legs shattered on impact, but he didn't fall all the way down. I heard him crying out. I found my legs again. I ran home. By the time I reached the village, it was nearly dark. I told them what happened. Within minutes, a group of men gathered. Axes, ropes, whatever they could find. We rushed back to Turanyi, but the cliff was too steep, too slippery. In the darkness, we couldn't reach them, so we worked through the night, cutting trees, lashing them together, building a makeshift ladder, step by step, piece by piece. By sunrise, we had done it. We climbed the ladder, slowly, carefully, and we brought them down. Of the 6 men who set out that morning, only 2 came home alive. Only one could walk. My father survived, but he would never walk the same again. His legs were broken in multiple places. His body was shattered, but his spirit somehow remained. The others, they were gone. That was the last time I ever hunted on Turanyi Mountain. The year was 1976. The war was raging, and hunger drove good men into the hands of death. But my father's survival taught me something I carry to this day. Even when the world tries to break you, even when you're thrown from the highest cliff, sometimes, somehow, you hold on. If this story moved you, please subscribe to this channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear it, and leave a comment below. What would you have done if you were that 15-year-old boy? Would you have run, or would you have stayed? Thank you for listening. And remember, some stories are too important to forget.